The story is true. The names have been changed, but the event is real. I know because it happened to me. This is one of the events that had happened to me during the 32 years of service as a police officer. This event happened when I was a patrol officer, still a rookie of 2 years. Officer Daniel Mercer had worked the night shift for about a year, patrolling the quiet streets and empty parks of the coastal town. He enjoyed the solitude of the job, the way the ocean whispered against the shoreline, the salty breeze filling the night air. But that night, something was different. It was close to 2 a.m. when the call came in. A disturbance at Black Rock Beach Park. A local resident had reported hearing screams coming from the shoreline. Mercer sighed, adjusting his belt as he pulled into the park's lot. Probably just a drunk or a transient, nothing unusual. Stepping out of his cruiser, Mercer scanned the deserted beach. The moon cast a pale glow over the waves, and the tide crashed steadily against the jagged rocks. Then he heard an anguished cry carried by the wind. He followed the sound down a winding path toward the beach. His flashlight slicing through the darkness. A lone figure stood at the water's edge, his arms outstretched, his body trembling. The man was barefoot, his clothes soaked from the sea mist. His voice was raw from screaming. Mercer kept a cautious distance. "Sir, are you okay?" The man didn't turn. He kept his gaze locked on the ocean, his eyes wide with terror. "They're out there," he whispered. "Can't you see them? The spirits. I'm trying to keep them away." Mercer squinted into the distance. There was nothing, only the endless stretch of water and the rhythmic crash of waves against the rocks. A chill settled in his bones, though the night was mild. "Sir, what's your name?" The man shuddered, but finally answered, "David. David Henshaw." Mercer's instincts kicked in. He reached for his radio and called in the name. A moment later, the dispatcher's voice crackled through. "Officer Mercer, David Henshaw has an outstanding warrant. Proceed with caution." Mercer tensed. "David, I need you to come with me." David's head snapped toward him, his eyes wild and bloodshot, locked onto Mercer's. "They don't like that," he whispered. "They don't like me leaving." Before Mercer could react, the wind howled, and David let out a piercing scream. The sound echoed unnaturally, almost inhuman. Mercer's breath hitched as an overwhelming feeling of dread washed over him. Something was wrong. Within minutes, backup arrived. 2 additional officers restrained David, who continued muttering about the spirits, his body convulsing. As they loaded him into the back of the cruiser, Mercer couldn't shake the feeling that something unseen was watching from the waves. Mercer took the driver's seat, adjusting the rearview mirror to keep an eye on David as they began the drive to the station. For the first few minutes, David rocked back and forth, whispering in a language Mercer didn't recognize. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. Then, without warning, David went silent. Mercer glanced at the mirror. David was sitting eerily still, staring at him. A deep, guttural voice, not David's, spoke. "I am the devil." A surge of ice-cold terror ran through Mercer's veins. The voice was wrong, layered, as if multiple people were speaking at once. Mercer's grip tightened on the wheel. "Cut it out, David." David grinned, his lips curling unnaturally. "You shouldn't have taken me from the ocean. They'll come for you now." Mercer's radio crackled. "Mercer. Status?" His throat was dry. "Almost at the station," he managed to say. In the mirror, David's smile widened. Then suddenly he threw his head back and let out a shriek that sent shivers down Mercer's spine. As they reached the station, David collapsed into eerie silence. When the officers pulled him from the car, his body was limp, his eyes blank. The wild man from the beach was gone, replaced by something hollow. That night, Mercer did not sleep. He couldn't shake the feeling that David had been right, that something had been out there. Till this day, the memory of the event haunts him. The story you have just heard is true. I know because I've lived them. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more true life stories.